Hello everybody, welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips. And I want to start talking about by talking about overweight people. And boy, are there a lot of them. In fact, 1 billion people just in developing countries are overweight or obese today, up from 250 million in 1980, which wasn't all that long ago. Worldwide, the problem is even bigger, no pun intended. Today, more than 1 in 3 adults on the planet are overweight or obese. Now, this data came from the UK's Overseas Development Institute, and according to research fellow Stephen Wiggins, the data are alarming. I think we should all find it alarming, because along with this rise in the overweight and obese population is an increase in the incidence of cancer and diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and a growing financial liability that many governments, including our own, cannot meet. Just by way of example, the percentage of overweight and obese people in China has doubled. In a population base this large, this will almost certainly be financially disastrous to the government, particularly as the population ages. The eating habits creating this crisis are predictable. For example, in India, consumption of animal foods, particularly meat and dairy, is almost equal to that in China, and China has been increasing their consumption for a very long time. The percentage of overweight and obese people in India is now 11% of the total population. Animal food production has increased by 50% worldwide, and of course along with that, fat intake has gone up, more than doubled in the last few years. Sugar consumption, another factor, increasing by about 20% per person worldwide. Wiggins believes that government policy is to blame. Now, I'm not really convinced that the government can or will solve this problem. In almost every country, the influence of agriculture and industry on government policy is a big problem, including here in the United States. But he is right when he says that one of the problems is government does a lot of useless stuff, like awareness campaigns that have never resulted in significant changes in behavior. Awareness campaigns about smoking is not why we have restaurants where you can't smoke. It's the work of trial lawyers that really did the work to make people realize how bad cigarettes were for you. But in any case, Wiggins cites one successful program in South Korea, a social marketing and education campaign that has included training women how to make traditional meals has resulted in increased consumption of more traditional South Korean diet, including fruits and vegetables. Now, here in the United States, a similar program is offered by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, where it teaches American Indians how to return to traditional Indian diet, which is not anything like what these Indians are eating today. They're eating just like the rest of us. It's been very, very successful, particularly in treating diabetes, which is rampant in the American Indian population. These types of hands-on programs work because they teach science and skills for implementation, just like the Wellness Forum's Wellness 101 program. Well, back to the overweight and obese problem. Obviously, this trend can't go on. The budgets of all countries, including wealthier ones like the United States, cannot continue to pay for the diseases that result from so many overweight people. But it will go on in the absence of massive intervention. And I don't think that the intervention is going to be driven by government for the reasons I stated earlier, but rather by grassroots efforts of people like our members who are passionate about dietary excellence and better health and all that good stuff. Now, we're working on some new programs to empower members to spread the health a little easier by helping them to develop chapters, Wellness Forum chapters in their local communities. And so let us know if you'd like to be involved in this effort. We think that it's time to take the message of good health to people where they are. And while a lot of people get this message that I send out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you personally delivering the message to your neighbors and friends in your area is a very effective tool for reaching people that I'm not reaching. So I think it's really time to step this up a little bit. And if you're interested in helping us out on that project, just call us and let us know, and we'll get you started. So while we're on the subject of better diet and plant-based diets and all that good stuff, let's talk about hypothyroidism for a minute. The incidence of hypothyroidism has increased significantly, and I've been speaking about this for a while. There are a couple of things that influence this. One is the changing of diagnostic parameters, which have been promoted by drug companies, and this practice called disease mongering causes otherwise healthy people to be diagnosed with illnesses and treated with drugs. But the problem is actually bigger than just that. There are some other reasons why people are developing hypothyroidism too. So let's just define it. Hypothyroidism is a condition in which the thyroid doesn't produce enough of the hormone necessary to carry out all kinds of important functions that are performed by the cardiac, nervous system, and gastrointestinal systems. Women are much more likely to develop it than men, and one of the causes is abnormally high estrogen levels, which can interfere with the proper function of many organs and glands, including the thyroid. And of course, this is all related to diet. A recent study shows that subjects eating a vegan diet were less likely to develop hypothyroidism than those eating an omnivorous diet, and that people eating a vegan diet were slightly better off than those who ate a lacto-ovo vegetarian diet. It also showed that being overweight or obese increased the risk of hypothyroidism. All of these data points are connected. The diet that causes people to be overweight or obese also results in higher estrogen levels, and being overweight and obese results in higher estrogen levels all by itself because fat cells pump out hormones too. Eating a low-fat plant-based diet causes the weight to come off, lowers the estrogen levels, and improves thyroid function. So the diet can be protective. I mean, if you're lean and you eat a good well-structured, low-fat, plant-based diet, you can prevent hypothyroidism, but it also can be effective as a treatment tool, particularly in the early stages. So I know when we talk about this diet, we often talk about diabetes and coronary artery disease, and one of the reasons is we have so much data on those particular diseases, but hypothyroidism can be added to the list of diseases that are what we call foodborne illnesses. And you can eat your way in, and particularly at the early stages, you can eat your way out. All right, well, that's all for today and all for the week. As usual, please pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you again next week.